Hi everyone, I am reading Finding Leda, The Science of Happiness by Gaia Amman, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Part 1, College. Chapter 1, Prologue, The Night Before the Exams. June 26, 1997. Tomorrow everything will change, forever. I should sleep, but I can only stare at the ceiling, roll over, and sigh. I sit up and rub my face. The sweet summer night permeates my room with its scent of honeysuckle. The crickets are singing over the distant hum of the highway. I wade through the mosquito net that surrounds my twin bed. The hardwood floor is cool against my bare feet as I step to the window to close it before turning on the light. I will not die exsanguinated by mosquitoes on the night before my maturity exam. I sit back on the bed and turn on the radio. The bed is in a corner, and the back of the chest of drawers is against its long side. I taped a few pictures there. Grandma, a black and white shot of Dad riding a Vespa, and a Polaroid of my best friend Lexi and me from 5 years ago. Back then, you could still see her face among the piercings, and she smiled once in a while. Books, comics, and candles are scattered on both my bookcase and desk, which occupy the other half of the room. The DJ babbles. How many of you are still up, wondering about tomorrow, surviving the longest night of your life? Well, this one's for you. Notte prima degli esami, Night Before the Exams, by Antonello Venditti, pours out of my boombox, each old note carving goosebumps on my arms, memories flooding what's left of my overexerted brain. A night of moms and dads with baby bottles in their hands. A night of grandmas at their windows, but this night tonight is still ours. I have heard this classic all my life, and I cannot believe now it's me going through the rite of passage it describes. Tomorrow the infamous Maturita begins, the exam that in a month-long terrifying endeavor will see Italian seniors attempting to graduate high school. Venditti sings, a night of tears and prayers, planes flying high between New York and Moscow, but this night, tonight is still ours. Tears and prayers, I scoff. I cried all my tears and I stopped praying a long time ago. Only Grandma thinks I'm still a devotee because her rap is scarier than God's. I wish I could call Lexi. She's up for sure, freaking out just as much as I am. But it's too late and her parents would kill us both. I roll over, my gaze wandering from the pictures to the stack of unanswered letters sitting on the chest. They are from my ex, Ang, begging for forgiveness, but there's nothing to forgive. It was stupid of me to believe it was somebody else's job to make me happy, somebody who thought I was all wrong. Since I agreed with him, it had been too easy to tag along in a 2-year campaign of self-destruction. Well, screw that. I might still struggle with an eating disorder, but at least I don't want him around anymore. It's been over 1 year since we broke up, and last month he stopped writing. I stashed the letters out of sight. Still, with a will to change, Venditti reminds me, no more high school, no more maiming my soul to have it fit that of a stranger. Leda Bellini, 19, in 2 days, terrified and ready to find whatever it takes to make me happy. On the following day, the school's front yard is crawling with the ghosts of seniors made tangible only by their frantic murmuring. The sunny summer morning chirps around us like a bright lie. Dew lingers in the shady corners, and it smells like mud and cigarettes, even if it hasn't rained in a while. The high school itself is a 2-story box painted in 3 fat stripes, orange, gray, and blue, covered in ugly graffiti about love and soccer. Today's trial is the Italian composition, and the only thing we may consult is the dictionary. There is no way to guess what the title options of our 6-hour-long undertaking will be. I know nothing of literature or history, but I love writing, and there is always an easy opinion title. The doors open and the courtyard goes silent. Then the students trudge inside the building. I follow, marching on the deserted hallways of blue linoleum that held my soul prisoner for 5 years, beside the strangers that had me feel like a freaking alien most of the time. I step into the gym. The sun filters through the dusty air from the small windows below the ceiling, making the red steel beams pop out. A grid of desks partitions the floor like the crosses to the fallen in the American cemeteries on TV. When an unknown professor calls my name, I shrug the morbid thought away and walk up to him. He checks my ID, and I proceed to the desk he indicated. Clop, clop, clop. My steps echo with the memories of volleyball games and phys ed classes within these same walls. No more, no more. I bump into the desk, which screeches against the floor. Dust motes swirl fast in a sunbeam, and I plop at my execution chair, realizing that I'm wearing the same hoodie I sported on my first day of high school 5 years ago. Back then, I wanted to hide my fat. Right now, it's concealing a cheat-size digest of Italian lit, just in case I find myself in a bind. After a goddess phase, when I dressed to please and dieted to impress, if not eating can be called dieting, I'm back to sweats. Goddess my culo. I'm more of a crippled Venus, like in Carmen Consoli's song. Once all the students sit, I shrink by the minute under the weight of the unbearable tension. The air becomes denser, liquid, till the chairperson at the other end of the gym stands. 8:30, it's time. He rips open an official-looking envelope at the same time as the other officials in every high school in Italy, and he hands the sheets to the teachers patrolling among desks. When every student holds a copy of the sheet, the chair says, 6 hours from now, the clock is ticking. And it is. So loud. I look at the titles, going straight for option 4, the easy one specific for my language-specialized high school. It's a quote about language, memories, and souls. Doable. What else? I read the other titles in order. 1. Education makes the necessities of moral life prevail over brute strength. Against the politician obeying, hell no. I jump to the next one, and my jaw drops. It's 2 quotes by my favorite poets ever, Montale and Leopardi, followed by the request to compare themes, linguistic and stylistic differences, lexicon, syntax, metrical structure, and historical context. Holy moly! Whoever chose the titles woke up on the wrong side of his bed. We're 19 and not 132 for Pete's sake. Let alone the fact that in my school we did not even study Montale. Panic wafts through the surrounding heads, but in the midst of the green linoleum sea of Merida, I smile. If I weren't an atheist, I'd say a thank you to Jesus. Instead, I write devoured by a fire of quotes, allegories, melancholy, and love for the poets who filled the empty rooms of my vacant teenage heart. They could have as well asked me to rant about Pink Floyd. During my allotted bathroom break, I browse the cheat-sized book for the publication dates and historical context, and then I dive back into my work. It takes me 2 hours on average to write a composition. I never draft it. My gray ink pen runs over the paper like the blood flows in my veins, but as I find myself with more to add, I scar the composition's pages with stars, emotions, and way too much confusion. I look at my finished effort. It's a mess. Cazzo, I must copy this. I huff. The chairperson stands. Okay, time's up. Pens down. Wait, what? My mouth goes dry, taking in the few students left around me. The chairperson repeats, I said, pens down. I hear the sound of my ink pen hitting the laminate desk as if it were a shot to my head. Tears well in my eyes. I cannot believe I screwed this up and will fail the one test I should have nailed. Merda, merda, merda. The patrolling teachers pick up the first proof of our maturity, or lack thereof. They are not our own teachers, who might have been too keen on pity and illicit help. I stand like a robot. Tomorrow's English. 3 days later, written exams are over. I have no idea how I did. They will tell us our grades on the day of my oral examination. I stare at the blue sky with my back on the grass, Lexi beside me. Red poppies wave in and out of my field of view. An occasional ant tickles my arm. Flies buzz. It smells like hay and like I should not worry about going home to study for the oral exam. It's the summer after my most intense year of school, and my body waits on the dirt as if it was trying to dig its own grave. I say, I wish I could nap. Stop complaining, Lee, Lexi interrupts me. Yes, they drafted B, and you would go on the first day, but at least you'll get it out of the way. How the hell will I review in a week? Lexi laughs. I cannot believe they sorted out math for foreign lit high schools. You have it rough. No kidding. Maturita is a complicated beast, ever-changing yet never improving. Every year, students are assessed on the entire senior program for one of 2 subjects selected statewide. and another one of their choosing. Since I am only one of 2 students passing math in my class, I had to choose it, lest they force me to present it last minute like they did to my sister 7 years ago. Yeah, they can do that. I'd rather jump off a cliff hoping to catch the wave that will save my life like they used to do in Hawaii for their rite of passage. At least if you die, it's fast. Lexi and I are lying on the big hill behind my old middle school, our gazes spanning the patchwork of fields stretching between Aris, our town, and the next village in the greater suburban Milan. Swallows fly high in the sky, and the breeze rustles the big branches of the pine trees behind us. A bumblebee hums by my face. I wave it away and add, "It's just not fair." Lexi turns to look at me. Her pale blue eyes sadder than usual. Her dark blonde hair is pulled back, and the sun glints off her many piercings. Well, get over it. Life is not fair. Oh, come on, Lex. Shake it off. She turns away from me and closes her eyes. You're right. It's not life. It's men. We broke up with our exes at the same time, but her stronzo of a boyfriend of 5 years disappeared without one word when Lexi found out he was cheating on her with one of our closest friends, and a few other girls too. Gross. Perhaps the holes in Lexi's body are a way to convey how mutilated her soul is, a way to turn a wound into something to be proud of, a scar reminding her she has survived, or parts of her have. We're both broken, but sometimes I wonder if we were born this way and becoming an adult is just realizing it. Making your non-sensual pieces fit together in a meaningful puzzle. I touch the Turkish wedding band on my right ring finger, 4 mangled bands that form a gorgeous design. Lex. Little sister, it's not men, it's us. There are plenty of awesome guys out there. Lexi and I are not sisters, but we wish we were, and we've been calling each other little sister for at least 5 years. Lexi scoffs. You don't say. Then why do we pick all the worst ones? I twist and pull out a clover, because we don't love ourselves, and everyone who does looks like a loser to us. Lexi props herself up on one elbow, grass stuck in her hair. Wow, Lee, that's good. Right? I smirk and also prop myself up. I studied that sometimes authors put characters in the same position to show an affinity, to bring them closer, and I want to be as close to Lexi as I can. A 4-leaf clover, I yell, picking up the good omen and putting it in my 3-fold paper ID to dry. Lexi says, I hate you. No, you don't, I add. I will do my thing, little sis, and show everyone what a girl can do. I will do everything I have always liked and people told me I couldn't do. And I will find the perfect guy. Lexi scoffs. So, will you go back to play volleyball, Shorty? I smirk. Maybe, and who knows what else. Surviving the oral examination? Hopefully, it will be a long summer. Chapter 2. A college surprise. 3 months later, October 1997. My first day of college is 2 days away. I can barely sit still thinking about it. Cartoons flash on the TV screen while I go over what to wear in my mind. The phone rings. I trot from the living room to the foyer. I reach the cordless on Mom's antique cherry table, right beside the answering machine. The small potpourri basket by the notepad diffuses a faint scent of clothes and faded flowers. I pick up and ask, Pronto? The typical Italian greeting that goes back to a time when you had to alert an operator that you were pronto, ready. Hello, my name is Adolfo. I'm looking for a Leda Bellini. Adolfo like Hitler? Yeah, Leda speaking. You've been accepted into biotech and you're from Aris, right? Me too. I saw your name on the list. Any interest in carpooling? The campus is 17.6 kilometers from my house, and gas is 1,800 liras per liter. Wait, what? How did you get my number? From the phone book. Duh. How did you get into biotech? You don't sound too bright. His rude remark strikes a chord since I have no idea how the hell I managed. I wanted to be a writer, but Dad steered me toward a more profitable career, so I opted for the hardest, newest, craziest major I could find. Genetic engineering, or biotech, as everyone calls it. I spent the summer cramming, first for the maturity exam and then for the biotech entrance test I took in September, but I still wrote the polar bonds were relationships between Eskimos. I never took science in high school. Somehow I made the cut. One of the 150 students out of the 600 applicants admitted into the brand new major at the University of Milan. It had something to do with my maturity exam, Montale Lepardi, and the enlightened professor who cried for joy while deciphering my delirious rant about the 2 dead poets. I reply, Listen, Adolfo, a car ride with you sounds lovely, but don't flatter yourself. This is only about gas. Thanks.